It's finally over. 3 seasons, 26 episodes, and a bunch of wasted potential. Hey guys, Caleb here from CDBS Studios, and welcome to my final video of the year. So, if you didn't know, over last week during the Christmas holiday, Marvel Studios released the last season of What If? 8 episodes of varying degrees of quality. So, today I'm going to go ahead and quickly rank and review all 8 episodes from the worst to the best. So, let's get it going. Starting off at the bottom of the list for my least favorite episode this season was episode 1, What If the Hulk Fought the Mech Avengers? I think this episode is fine. It's better than a lot of the episodes we got in season 2. I think my main problem with this episode mainly comes from the fact that I don't truly understand the timeline. I think What If season 1 and even season 2 do a really good job of kind of explaining the idea of this is where we're jumping off from and this is where the main events of the episode take place. This episode just kind of leaves that vague. And it makes it kind of weird because when you're watching the episode, I started thinking, wait, how can this character exist at the same time as this character? Oh, wait, how does this character exist at the same time as this character? And it just makes me really question the logic of the episode. But taking that out of context, this is a very enjoyable episode. The Gundam Avengers are really interesting. I loved seeing some of the newer characters like Shang-Chi and Moon Knight. But as the overall package, I think this was my least favorite of all the episodes because I just think some of the other episodes either did better dealing with their timelines or their stories overall were just kind of better. As I feel like this episode was very short and it didn't really feel like there was much happening on screen most of the time. The fight sequences were cool enough to make up for it though, so at least it's not the bottom of probably all 26 episodes. So, good job. Next on the list is episode 4, What If Howard the Duck Got Hitched? This episode, I just honestly have to ask, who asked for this? Who asked for a follow-up to the Party Thor episode, but instead we have Howard and Darcy get a child? I don't really understand who asked for that episode. And to be honest, the Party Thor episode is probably one of my least favorite episodes of all 26 in What If. But looking at the episode overall, it's a very decent ride. You get some pretty cool characters showing up again, like Yondu, Grandmaster, Loki. So there's a lot of fun characters showing up. I think the problem with this episode mainly rides similar to the ideas of episode 1, where I feel like episode 4 didn't do a great job dealing with the timeline. Like, obviously, it's post the original Thor episode and most likely post the Watcher taking Thor to be on the Guardians of the Multiverse. But I just feel like they don't really do a great job signing up their talents because one thing I noticed is like Caecilius is a disciple of Dormammu, but he can't be a disciple of Dormammu until after Yondu's death, and Yondu's in this episode. So I don't know if the timeline of the What If universe makes it okay, but it just made me question this episode a lot. And I think some certain sequences here and there kind of feel out of place, and it's all right. I do think this episode has some quality to it. It's definitely enjoyable, and it's got a lot of fun moments here and there. But I think overall, the negatives outweigh the positives, and it kind of ends up on the bottom half of my episode ranking for this season. So, sorry, Howard the Duck. Next up on our list is episode 7, What If the Watcher Disappeared? Once again, it's another Captain Carter episode, and I unfortunately am one of the people that do not like the Captain Carter episodes. In fact, most of the Captain Carter episodes are in my bottom 5 of the What If episodes. But as it stands, this episode is more or less about setting up the finale. It doesn't really tell a complete story, and it's not meant to. Some of the things that I wish that it did, though, is of course it introduces the awesome goddess of thunderstorm, who is awesome. I wish we got an episode on her instead of some of the other episodes this season. And this episode has other things that are interesting, like it also identifies what Earth the Nebula Novacore episode was from is on, and has some other interesting ideas of explaining the Watcher kind of intervening and why it's bad and stuff. But I think overall this episode is more or less about setting up other things, which always can be a problem with two-part episodes because the first part can always feel like it doesn't do anything important until the second part. But as it stands, this is a rather really enjoyable episode. I think also the shrinking down the Guardians of the Multiverse make it a little more accessible, and it makes it interesting to see the characters as you get to see more interactions between like 3 of them instead of like 7. So I guess that was good. And I just think overall that What If fell into the classic problem once again, where it wanted to push Captain Carter to the front, and it's just not the kind of episode that I was really looking for. So I can't really put it too much higher than this. So unfortunately, it makes it into the bottom three. Next up on the ranking is episode 5, What If the Emergence Destroyed Earth? Now, I'm not going to lie, this was one of the episodes I was really looking forward to this season. I think it's a really cool idea to look at this alternate Earth where the emergence did happen and kind of the Earth fell into a wasteland kind of state. I was really looking hopeful. I was really looking forward to seeing Ironheart because I'm kind of optimistic about the Ironheart show, and even seeing Quentin Beck again was a great thing because although I don't really like Quentin Beck in Far From Home, as I mentioned a couple of times already in the past, I just think that this episode also was just fun to see him again. Quentin Beck is just interesting of a character, I guess. But I think where this episode fails is it kind of does a lot of weird things that feel like it's more about setting up the finale than it is about being its own standalone episode. As it's all about this stand up about how the Watcher is like talking about how Riri Williams always fails, so it makes it seem more impactful when he intervenes later, and why it's sad when he ends up getting taken by the other Watchers. And then you've got other parts of this episode that feel kind of rushed. Like, I just don't feel like the middle part of this episode was really well paced. So I was really upset because I was really looking forward to this episode. And I think it was one of the few What If episodes that we've gotten since season 1 that actually had a decent concept behind it. It just struggled because it wanted to do what If always does, set up a larger story, and didn't really feel like it wanted to set up individual stories. So fortunately, I can't put this episode too much higher because it just doesn't feel like it gave me what I wanted out of this concept. So fortunately, I have to put it kind of low, but at least it cracks, but at least it's at the top of the top 4. So congratulations. Taking us into number 4 is episode 8, the finale of the series, What If, What If? I actually think this episode was a decent enough finale. It kind of explains more about the Watcher lore, and it has a lot of other interesting ideas about it, explaining a little bit more about Strange's reconstructed Earth, which is another thing I had a lot of questions of back in season 2, and even getting to see, Owatu be kind of in his prime again was really fun. And there's a lot of to enjoy about this episode. The problem with this episode is that you did something bad when you kill off one of your main characters in this episode, and I'm actually cheering for it. Like, I hate to say it, but when, Captain Carter dies in this episode, I instantly started cheering, which is kind of sad when, when you kill off a main character and that's the reaction you get from me. So I can't put this too high because I feel bad if I did, and I just also think the other 3 episodes are just stronger episodes overall. And now it just kind of feels like this episode is kind of less about finishing What If and more about like, just giving a new purpose to the Watchers. And it's all right. I love like Watu kind of explaining his reasoning and that, and it's a lot of fun. And I think it's a more enjoyable finale than the season 2 finale, at least. But I think it just also doesn't reach the heights I enjoyed of that first finale. So I can't give this one too much higher because I just think the top 3 episodes are just a little better. So, but I will give it this top 4 out of 8 episodes. It's not bad for the series finale. It's better than where I did with the season 2 finale. Bringing us into the top 3 are actually the episodes I enjoyed this season. Coming in at number 3, taking on the bronze medal, is episode 6, What If 1872. This is another episode I was really looking forward to this season. I think Wild West are really fun episodes. I just think you can do a lot with that concept. And even the Wild West Avengers comics are also really interesting. And seeing this kind of world where you got Shang-Chi and Kate Bishop as outlaws is really interesting and a fun idea. The only problem is why this episode falls short for me, I think, is because it's a little predictable. I actually predicted that Xiao Xling was going to be the mask pretty early on, so that kind of lessens the reveal at the end. But there are a lot of other fun moments in the episode. I think Sonny Burt showing up was a lot of fun. He is one of my favorite characters from Ant-Man and the Wasp, so I really did enjoy seeing him again. Getting to see kind of this thing that I really enjoyed about 1802 was the thing I kind of wanted out of 1602, the 1602 episode, is that you don't really need a reason for all these characters just existing in the 1870s Wild West. It's just, okay, there's a Tony Stark here, there's a Sonny Birch here, there's Kate Bishop, and we don't need to explain, like, okay, they're from the present, they just end up getting stuck here by some time problem. I think it's just interesting when they can just, they just let us accept that, because that's just what the point of What If is supposed to be. So, I think I enjoyed this episode a lot for that reason, as it doesn't feel like it needed to be like, okay, this is why this character is here now and not in the later timeline when they're supposed to exist, which is what I like. And if it wasn't for the predictability, this episode probably would have been in second place. But other than that, this episode is really strong and it comes in as my number 3 pick for the season. Coming in at number 2 is episode 3, What If the Red Guardian Stopped the Winter Soldier? This is another episode that I was actually kind of excited for as it was supposed to be released in season 2, so we've had been sitting with the concept for over a year now. And the episode is actually really cool. I loved the bromance between Red Guardian and Winter Soldier. It makes me actually more excited for Thunderbolts now that we got to see the two of them together. I loved seeing this alternate world of like, what if the Winter Soldier and the Red Guardian were on the run from the Red Room, which is a really fun concept. You get some other cool MCU developments, like how Obadiah Stane was the one who handed over Tony's, basically handed over Howard's death practically, which is another really cool development for a villain that we haven't seen in like over a decade, which is fun. Over 2 decades, actually. So that's a lot of fun. You get the bromance, you get the action, you get Bill Foster again, who is also another character I love seeing in What If, because I don't think we're ever going to get to see him in the normal MCU ever again. So I just really enjoy this episode, and I think it's a really good package. And honestly, part of me wishes it was in season 2 because it probably would have made season 2 more enjoyable for me. But as it stands, this is a really good episode, and it becomes my second place for the season. But coming in first place for me has got to be episode 2, What If Agatha Went to Hollywood? I might be a little biased as being a filmmaker myself. I really enjoyed the episode about making films. Go figure. But I just really enjoyed the overall episode. I think Agatha Harkness and Kingo are actually some of my favorite characters to come out of the recent MCU. And seeing them together works really well in this episode. The musical segments are really fun. The battle sequence are great. I just love seeing Howard Stark being all excited about film, which is really cool. There's a lot of great moments in this episode, and I think I just liked it the best because it's one of the few episodes this season that really feels like its own story. Like, of course, they have the thing at the very end that kind of teases the ending, but that's kind of what I liked about it, is that it didn't feel like it was trying to set up some larger story. It was like its own story, and we're just going to tack on something at the end, which is just kind of what the normal Marvel movies are kind of like. You got the whole story, and then you tack something on the end to get people excited for later things. So I really enjoyed this episode, and it, along with the Red Guardian episode, are the only 2 episodes this season I really felt like were complete packages. So that's why they take the crowns for the best episode of the season. I just think Agatha is a little better, so that's why it takes home my number 1 spot. Looking at the overall, I actually enjoyed season 3 a lot more than I did season 2. Season 3 feels like a step up because even though I didn't like all the episodes, I don't think I hated any of the episodes, unlike I did for season 2. And I even think I like it probably around the same range as season 1 because I like roughly around the same number of episodes. So season 3 definitely is an improvement in my eyes. The only problem I think What If is just it just struggles with this problem of it doesn't really know what kind of show it wants to be. Does it want to be a Captain Carter show? Does it want to be a Watcher show? Does it want to be an anthology show? It doesn't really feel like What If ever got the footing of what it wants to target, and then it kind of flops as a result because it's kind of do all these things. So that kind of makes it struggle in a lot of cases. And I totally wish that What If just followed the concept the first season had, where it's anthology shows, and then maybe you can tack on a connected thing at the end, like with the first season. So I think, but overall, What If is a lot of missed potential, as they didn't really know what kind of what ifs we wanted to see. Instead of giving us what ifs we wanted to see, things like what if the other half got snapped? What if Quicksilver survived? What if all these other ideas that people actually want to see? Instead, they give us Thor partying for an episode. They give us Howard having a child. We have episodes that we have like 15, we have like 5 episodes just centered on Captain Carter. So it just feels like this series never understood what it wanted to be. And it also feels like it played it too safe because instead of giving us those cool concepts that you can do with What If, it just feels like they played it too safe. Like they used Spider-Man in 1 episode. They used like certain characters once and then forgot about them. And it just always felt like What If never knew what it wanted to be, and it kind of fell on its face because of it. So, but as it stands, I think What If is a little better than some people give it credit for. I think season 1 and season 3 are actually kind of decent. They're at least watchable, unlike some of the other Marvel Disney Plus shows. And even when What If makes a misstep, sometimes it comes back to give us a decent episode. I'll give it that. But as it stands, I honestly am not upset that What If is ending at 3 seasons, as because of the dumpster fire that it is, just ending it now, getting it off the Marvel plate means that we don't have to suffer through a new season every Christmas. So that's what I'll give to What If. It's decent. It's at least this season for me gets at least a 5 out of 10, maybe a 6 out of 10. Haven't really determined what I would rank it yet at a 5 or a 6, but it's a good package. So, without further ado, that's my overall thoughts on What If. I wanted to get this video done really fast, and because also I just don't have a lot to say about a ton of these episodes. So, if you guys really enjoyed this video, thank you guys all very much for watching, and thanks for an amazing year of 2024. I hope to bring more content to you guys in 2025 now that I've kind of figured out the footing I want to have for my channel. So, without further ado, if you guys enjoy videos like this, make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And I hope you guys all have a great day, and I hope to see you guys all in 2025.
Bye, guys.